Me up 'cause I just wanna see the light. I wanna be weightless. Teach me to fly, I won't be coming down. Could somebody wake me up? I don't wanna be here and let the world pass me by. Yeah. I just see her face wherever I look. She's standing in the crowd. So let go, I don't want to, but I'm gonna try. When she left me, yeah, but a little bit inside. You know, maybe things are gonna be alright. 'Cause I just wanna see the light. I'm so sick of waiting and getting too restless to be in this dusty town. I've heard of this place where people forget and you get another try. So come open up my door. I don't wanna be here and let the world pass me by. I won't see your face wherever I look. I'm blinded by the light. So let go, I don't want to, but I'm gonna try. When she left me, yeah, died a little bit inside. You know, maybe things are gonna be alright. 'Cause I just wanna see the light. Yeah, I just wanna see the light. I just wanna see the light. I just wanna see the light. 'Cause I just wanna see the light.
Ah, hello. Oh, welcome. Sorry, I'm laughing. I thought I was live for the past, I don't know how long, and I've been wittering away to myself. So I'm, I don't have anything on the table that I did at the start. So I will try and regroup. So we are going to do 4 projects this afternoon, all based around Amy Design's History of Christmas. These are the first 2 that I'm going to look at, and they are using the 3D push out decoupage. So they are in a bundle of 4, I think, on the website, and each sheet, there's 4 sheets, and each sheet has 3 bits of decoupage. So they're all numbered. So this strip here is 1, so it's number 1. This is number 2, number 3, and number 4. So you know how to layer them. And I'll show you the easy way to get them out. So this one's nice little robins, nutcracker, and the lamps, quite traditional. This one here, little traditional sort of table decorations, and that's the one I've used for this little card that can be used as a card, but it could also be used as a placemat. You could put somebody's name there if you've got either die cuts or really lovely handwriting. You could put that there. Then we've got this one. Now this is the set that I've used for the box. Some lovely Christmas scenes with a Christmas tree and the fireside and the lovely armchair. And then this one, another lovely traditional one with the robins, and this little one with the cat sat. So that you get all 4 of those sheets. And so that gives you a total of 12 projects that you can do. Okay, so I'm going to put those to one side because those are nice and new. And I will get out the ones that I've been using. So this is what I'm going to start with. This can be, like I said, either be used as a place card, or it can be used as a small card for people like friends, neighbours. So we need to start with a piece of card that is 6 inches by 5 inches, and it needs to be scored in half at 3 inches. So bear with me while I retrieve my board from the floor. Okay, so this is the 6 at each side, and then we're going to score down at 3 inches. Okay, and I'm going to fold it over and just furnish that crease. Now, I also, and if the camera can quite pick this up, I also did a couple of little lines here just to add a little bit more interest. So we'll say that this is the front, so I'm going to score at 1/4 of an inch, and then we'll come in a couple of lines from the top. Doesn't need to be particularly exact. You can go down the side as well, but as I'm going right the way across, it's probably not worth it. So it just adds a little bit of dimension to the card there. And I just realised I debossed rather than embossed, so I just flipped the card over. Okay, so there's our base card. Now, with these decoupage sheets, they are your really traditional decoupage paper. They're not a cardstock like some of the companies do with the pop-out ones. This is a proper decoupage paper. So I'm going to show you, this is the one that I've already used. I'm going to show you the best way that I find to get these out. And that's with, this is a really old mouse mat and a ball tool. Okay, and all you need to do is just need to rub, you can see it's already lifting. Rub the ball tool over. It won't get all of it out, but it will start to lift. So you haven't got quite so much popping out to do. It's already starting to lift out. Okay, you just need not totally soft, but you need a softish, like I say, a mouse mat consistency is perfect for this. And then this won't need too much because this is the base. See, that's pretty much come straight out. Now, I mean, the fact this is decoupage and it is pop out, you are going to get little bits. It's got to hold in at some point, so you will get these little bits. And I just use a small pair of scissors just to snip on the bits that hold. Okay, so again, I'm going to cut around that so I can see which bit's being caught, and it is literally just that little bit up by the flame. And I'm just going to snip that off, and then we've got one little bit here. And snip that. So that's piece 2. So that will be the next piece to go on. This piece here is piece 3. And again, I'm just going to snip away some of this excess. I can see what's caught and what's not. So we've got a little catch just there. In fact, oh no, not just there. It's that one there. Okay. So they do look quite fiddly to pop out, but actually, if you run your ball tool over them, pretty much they're going to pop themselves. That's layer 3, and then here, let's see what we've got. Oh, just one little bit stuck in there. Sometimes just wiggling helps as well. And if not, just get in with your scissors. There we go. So that's all 4 pieces of that particular decoupage out. Okay. So I will now assemble that. Now the base I always leave quite flat. You don't need to shape that, and you can see it isn't card, but it is that quite sort of thick, shiny type of paper that we've sort of know from sort of our traditional decoupage. I'm going to use 3D glue gel, and I'm going to use my bone folder to just shape this. So literally, because it's this paper, it shapes really easily. You just need to slightly tease it with your bone folder. Okay, that's going to be layer 1, and then again a little bit with layer 2. Go on over there, and then layer 3. A little bit of zhuzhing, and then I'm going to just get my, and using glue gel with a syringe is really the way to go when you're doing decoupage like this, because first of all you need to find one that's not globbed up. Oh, is that going to come out now? No, let's find one that's not glued up. Okay. You can put some nice big blobs in, but when you get these little bits, you can, if you really want to, get some little snaky bits in there. Okay, so there's our first piece. And when you're doing decoupage, you really want to be looking vertically down. So you might unfortunately see my head over the top of this and all my roots. You need to be looking vertically down on what you're doing, so that you're making sure that you're placing everything correctly. So here's piece 2, a bit more glue gel on that. And I've kind of gone for these projects that I've with the decoupage, because I know some people, in fact not some people, a lot of people you know, are concerned over when you use lots of layers of decoupage, postage can become a bit of an issue. So these are the sort of projects that you don't need to post, that are perfect for this kind of decoupage. Now I'm not going to sit and faff with this too much, because it does need to dry before I would use it anyway. So I'm going to put this one, this beautiful candle one, to one side to dry. So but you've seen how you can assemble it. And I am going to take another one that I've already, so you see I can push it down, it's not going anywhere. And we are going to put this together. Okay. I have cut a strip of gold mirror card that fits between those two lines. And I have another strip of the craft card. You can see with craft card 2 different tones, so you always have 2 options with craft card. Now I am also going to just pop this back onto the scoreboard, this little bit here, just to add a few little lines. I'm going to make sure I do it around the right way this time. So I need it face down, and my tool, and I'm just going to go, might go in 3, I think, there, and then there. So hopefully now this time I've done it around the right way, and it will be embossed on the side that I want it to be. Well, I've gone for craft card because I felt that this these pop-outs had a very vintage feel, but you know, you can always do them on mirror card, or you could do them on pearl card. So
Elaine would like to know if the glue syringes are refillable.
Yes, yeah. So you buy whatever your preference of glue gel is. There's lots of different brands, and then yeah, you just fill up the syringe. I tend to have, I have several on the go, but as you can see, sometimes they get clogged. It is only the very end that gets clogged, and you can usually get in there with a pokey tool and just pull that little clogged bit out. The best way to avoid it, and I'm not very good at doing it, is just to make sure a little bit of the glue actually comes out the end before you put the yellow cap back on, and then it tends to prevent it from getting too clogged up. Okay, so I'm just going to put this on with a bit of the acrylic glue. I'm going to put that to one side, and I've just die cut a sentiment. This is Creative Expressions, one of their lovely little festive dies. Always cuts beautifully. I'm now looking for my, there we go, it's my tweezers. Turn it over, looking desperately around now for a scrap piece of paper to blot this on, but I'll find that in a moment. So just gonna get it in. I'll use the end of the decoupage. Literally just going to blot that down on there, so most of the squidgy stuff will be there. Whoa, causing chaos. Have I moved that? No, that's fine. And then turn it over, and yeah, so there is our first very easy, very simple but effective card, and a perfect way to use these little decoupage pieces. Again, like I said, you don't have to have a sentiment. You could just put somebody's name on, and then, because hopefully this year we will actually be able to have people round for Christmas. Won't it be lovely? Okay, so that's one way of using them. Here is the second way that I have used them, and this is a all-in-one gift box. Okay, it's just one piece of A4 card. You don't need to have a school board that has the sort of the different sides for boxes. This scoring will just work and fold over, no problem. So what you need to start with is a piece of card, and we're going to go with craft card again for this lovely vintage feel, and the scoreboard. So we are going to, just moving bits out the way, we are going to score this. Now I think I did say just now about there are two different sort of tones on craft card, so decide which way round you want it. I quite like this sort of more warmer tone, so we're going to have that up as our top. So we are going to score at 1 5/8. Okay, so that's 1 and 5 little marks, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 marks, and we're going to score that on every side. So 1 5/8 on that side, turn it round. 1 5/8 on that side. 1 5/8 on that side. You just have to hope I'm concentrating and doing it the same every side. And 1 5/8 on that side. So that's the same all the way around. And then you're going to turn it so it's lengthwise across the board. And you are going to score at 5 inches. Oh, just checking. Yes, 5 inches. 5 inches. And then turn it round. And same from the other side. 5 inches. Okay. And that's all the scoring done. So we'll get rid of our board. Try not to make too much noise with it. Okay, so what we now need to do is to get a pair of scissors, and we're going to cut into each of these. Okay. And these are going to create our flaps in a moment for when we fold our box together. Okay. So all 4 bits on both sides. Now I'm just going to very slightly, I will burnish this in a moment, but I want to decide which part's going to be the lid. Okay, so if I'm going to have this part as my lid, then I need to leave this bit here and this bit here without cutting them. Okay, so I'm going to cut there. Okay, and I'm going to cut there. They will fold up to make the bottom part of the box in a moment. And then I'm going to do the same on the other side. I'm going to cut there. And I'm going to cut there. Okay. And then this will go on the top part of our lid. So I'm going to cut there. And I'm going to cut there. Okay. So I haven't cut these bits here because this is going to be the lid of my box. Okay. Right. So I am going to get my bone folder, creaser, whatever you like to call it, and I am going to go over all my crease lines and burnish them. Okay, and same with the sides. Fold those over and burnish all of those. You get a nice crease. Over and over and over. Right, okay, so I have some little pegs. They're not the really tiny ones, but they are smaller ones. Oh, there are a couple of big ones in there. Because I like to when I'm gluing this, I like to put the pegs on to hold them in place. So I'm going to put glue on here and glue on here. Oops. And on my craft mat by the look of it. And I'm going to bring that up to there. There. and I'm going to put a peg on it. This glue doesn't take long to dry, but it's just while you're fiddling around, manipulating it, it's useful just to have something that's holding it in place. Otherwise, you move it around and one bit pops off while you're fiddling with something else. So, that bit up there, peg on there, peg on here. Okay, so that's our base of a box, and you can see this is why this bit wasn't cut, because this is going to go over our lid as our lid there. So glue on this bit and glue on this bit and all over my mat again, and then over. Oh, that's the peg there, and a peg on there, and we're just going to put that to one side for the moment to allow the glue to dry. Okay, so while that's drying, we will have a look at the decoupage from this particular sheet, and this was the one with all those lovely traditional sort of scenes with the Christmas tree and the fire and all those lovely things. Now just go back over this again and just show you how easy these come out if you use the ball tool. So we're just literally going to run around on the mat. In fact, that one's pretty much come out. Okay, again, going round, pretty much coming out. Going with this one, going with this one, and this one. Okay, so this will be the fiddliest one to get out in a moment. So we are going to a little bit caught there, and a little bit caught there. Oh, and one bit there. Okay, so that's part 2. That will go on the top. They are, it's quite nice. They are several layers, and you don't have to always use all the layers if you don't want to, but they're not too fiddly in terms of what goes on each layer. They're not sort of so tiny that they're not easy to manage. So there's layer 3, and the armchair is also layer 3. That will go there, and then this will be our last one. Let's see, give it a bit of a wiggle, see if we can loosen any more bits. Oh, there we go. And then just that nice last little bit there with our presents. So there's our 4 bits for our decoupage. And again, I'm going to do exactly the same as I did last time. Make sure I get the layers right. I'm going to use my foam folder to shape some of the, sorry about, I don't know where that came from, some of this these layers. So that one will go on, and then we'll try and give the tree a bit of shape. I'm going to keep saying it now that way, though. I can't stop saying shape. And then we've got the little armchair, and then the little presents at the bottom. And again, glue gel where you want it. You don't have to cover the whole thing. I mean, those bits are nice and large, so just a couple little bits where you want it raised. Again, make sure you're over the top so you can see what you're doing. And then down in the middle of the tree for the next layer. That's nice on there. The armchair. And then the last piece of our decoupage for this one, the little presents. And again, this is where the syringe is nice, because you can tiny little bits just where you want them. Sometimes the tubes are have a very large opening. You end up squeezing out far too much. Okay, so that's another one from this series, and I've moved it. Oh dear. I'm going to have to fiddle with that. Even though I'm not using it, I'm sorry. I'm going to have to sort that out, because that will annoy me otherwise. Right, so I'm going to put that one to one side to dry. And in all good Blue Peter fashion, here's the one I've done earlier. Now, I have already pre-cut a few little bits, but I wanted to talk to you about, so I've got my measurements on the back there. I wanted to talk to you about this bit of paper. And I was like, why? Because this is, bear with me a moment. This is the paper that comes in the pack. Don't throw it away. It's there. You see it in every pack. You get this piece of paper, and I love this kind of sort of milky beige colour. So don't throw it away. Use it. Use it. So that's where that's come from, and you can see I've layered it also, the decoupage onto it and onto the Christmas red Cintura pearl. This one is. So I'm just going to layer this up with my measurements on the back. That was 3 7/8 by 2 1/4 if you're interested. What was this one? 4 inches by 2 3/8. There we go. So lay that one up. We'll layer the bit of craft card onto the top. Ooh. And then I do sometimes, just going to put the lid on this, so stop that one blocking. I do like to drop shadow sentiments, not all the time, but sometimes. So I've cut, this is the Creative Expressions Merry Christmas. I've cut it once in that paper and once in the red. Just going to try need a scrap bit again. So I turn it over. Oh, now because this is thinner paper, it might wobble around a little bit more. I don't know if you can see. Sorry if I've gone out of shot. I'm still not 100% sure where I am. Oh. Right, I might have made a bit of a mess of this because I should have stuck this on first to see where I was going to put it. So I'm going to just put that to one side and pretend I didn't do that yet. Let's get our box and take the pegs off. Now on this box, I did do some more embossing. I haven't done it on this box, but if you want to, then you can. And you can see that literally just fits over the top. No messing. Okay. Now that would annoy me. It has to be said. It would annoy me. So I would probably go in with a pair of scissors. I didn't line that up very well when I stuck it, but it would annoy me. So I'm going to have to trim that off. Okay, so there's our box. One piece of A4 done. I'm going to stick this on the top and place that in the middle. And then I'm going to put our, I think I might put that one on with 3D glue gel, but I'm not going to bother with this one. I'm going to stick this one on with the acrylic. There we go. And then I'm going to see if I can salvage my sentiment. Let's see if I can get it to fit on. Do I need to move that slightly? Whoops, move that slightly across. Yeah, I think I might have made a bit of a mess of that one. So what we might do is not drop shadow this one. That's purely user error, nothing else. That was my fault for not watching what I was doing. So I'm just going to put the red one on instead. So yeah, that's completely my fault. So, a bit of glue dotted on the back, blotted on a bit of scrap paper so it doesn't squidge everywhere. Merry Christmas. And keep with a kind of traditional theme, a twine bow rather than a ribbon bow. And again, a tiny little bit of glue gel for that one. And there we go. Done. A few little errors I made with that one, but you get the idea. Really nice and simple. One piece. Sometimes boxes get a little bit complicated with scoring and making sure that the top is smaller than the bottom, but this one works perfectly without any fuss whatsoever. Okay, so that's our first two makes, and those are with the everything's getting stuck together. Those are with the 3D pop out. Now in the same collection there are some dies as well, and we're going to look at using the dies now. So I'm going to put these to the side. to allow them to dry a little bit. And we are going to start with, reaching down with this. Now this is a little tea light shade. I don't know if it's going to show up very well. If I tilt it to the overhead camera so it would sit with a little tea light flashing away underneath like that. Okay, so we're going to look at how to make this. Now, it's quite simple to make, but I like to make things a little bit more tricky. So we're going to make the background, the card that we've actually cut this out of, this beautiful motley effect. So we are going to use Pixie Sparkles. So I have a piece of stamping card, and you do need an A4 sheet because you need to cut 3 of the die pieces, and each one will take up about an A6 part. So we are going to start by we're going to use red oxide, and we're going to use this pale blush. Now this pale blush doesn't have, if you look at the bottom, you can see all the pigment in this one. This one doesn't have as much pigment in it, but it still adds a beautiful little subtle tone. So we are going to get sprinkling. So it's already all over my craft mat. Here we go. So I'm going to start with the pale blush, and it is really tricky to see. As I said, it doesn't have as much pigment in. You'll see what I mean in a moment when I put some of the red oxide on, because you'll see the pigment particles in this show up straight away. There you go, straight away. You can see the red pigment in that Pixie Sparkles. Whereas in fact, before I put too much on, I'm going to spray this just so you can see what I mean about the blush. Can you see? It's a very, very subtle little pink hint, and I really like that. It gets a little bit overwhelmed by the red, but not too much. You know it's there, and it adds a little bit to it. So the red is pretty good. I like the red. It's very rich, deep red, very vintage kind of red. So okay, I'm not going to do too much because I'm not going to actually use this one because I prefer to allow my backgrounds to dry. But here we go. Here we go with spray. And as you spray, you can see that the pigment activates, so you get the colour. The more water, the more it's going to run. But also you need to make sure that you have sprayed it all, because the glitter also is kind of then bound in. And I've been putting so much Pixie Sparkles on and then not spraying enough, and then I'm getting glitter everywhere. Everything in my craft room is currently glitterified. I don't think that's a word. Glitterified. Okay. So you don't need, because I've gone for a very kind of mottled effect on this, you don't need to cover the whole piece of paper. So the other thing I like about these Pixie Sparkles is they have a combination of colours. So you can see the red, but you can also see these lovely dark purpley bits. And I can see a bit there I've not sprayed. Okay, I'm gonna cease and desist from spraying anymore, and I'm gonna put this one down to dry. And I'm just going to use a piece of rice paper just to mop up, just so I don't waste the ink and the sparkles. Use another time. Okay, so I have already got my bits done here. So I've cut my background. You can see I got quite heavy-handed with all of it, the Pixie Sparkles, the water and everything. So you need three of these, and what we are using, would have helped if I'd have told you this right at the beginning, is this lovely little die. It's Amy Designs. It's the history of Christmas still. It's called a lacy Christmas tree. Okay, and it's kind of like the sort of die you'd use usually like on the edge of a card, but a nice sort of different shape edge of the card, but I wanted to do something different with it than just a normal sort of edger. Now I can see I've got a couple of little bits left in from when I used it before, so I'm just going to pop those out. Okay, so we need 3 of these, and all I have done is I've placed the edge of that die up to the edge of the paper, and then I have, oh, there it is, taped it down because we don't want it to slip and slide. And then I'm going to run that through the Gemini. So, Gemini, I need my base plate. No, my cutting plate. There we go. Plastic shim, magnetic shim, and top plate. So I'm going to pass that through. Now, we do need 3 of these, but, you know, when you see me cut one, you really need to see me cut 3. So I do already have 2, escaping 2 cut out. Okie dokie. So, here's our 3rd one. You can see how well that's already cut through. It will probably take more time to clean the die than actually worry about the die cut. So as you say, you can see it's an edgeable, not an edgeable, but an edging die, a border die, and it will just very nicely, very carefully just pop out. Okay, all right. Now I'm not going to clean the die now, but that's quite easy to clean with your brush and then poke the last few bits out. So here we have our 3 pieces for our little tea light shade. Now, we need, first of all, we need to score them. Scoreboard out. And we just need to score. I always do this. I tend to put my thing in the groove and move it down because I need to then line it up. So I know that I'm on the 7-inch line here. So I line up this end, and then I can also line up this end at the bottom. It's easier to do that. So then I'm just going to literally score down there. Oops, I might have gone over a little bit too far on that one. Yeah, because I'm hitting the start. So just move it slightly. There we go. So I've scored that, and I need to score the other 2 pieces that are hiding underneath my board. Okay, so here we go. So that is a 7-inch line. Try not to hit the star this time. It's better. And then up. There we go. That's 2 bits. And then 3rd bit. Same again. Oh, you need to score the bit you've already scored. You need the other bit. Here we go. That bit there. And off we go. Oops. There we go. So I have the 3 pieces scored. I'll board away. So the 3 pieces are cut and scored. And then we're just going to, now they don't fold, because of it's so lacy here, you do need to be careful as you're folding them over. So tease it over before you then use your paper creaser. Same with this, particularly this end, tease it over. Two. And then the last one, I'm just going to tease that over. Well, so there we go. Now, the idea is then we fit these together, but as you can see, if I try to do this, there's too much card here. So what I've been doing is I've been lining this up. So I know this is where I'm going to stick this piece. And then this is the piece I need to cut off here. Okay. So I know that I need to chop that bit off, and then this will stick quite nicely. Now I'm not going to get the paper trimmer out for that. I am just going to, because this is going to be hidden behind. So I am just going to chop that off. So this one will now stick nicely there, and I can see there's a little bit that's got left. in the dye there. Circle. Okay, so I'm going to stick that, because otherwise, if I found that if I don't start sticking things down, I end up trying to stick the wrong bit on the wrong side. So the other thing I also did was to give myself like a bit of a line down there, so I know that I only need to put glue on bits up here. Okay, so I'm going to make sure I glue in up near the fold, and then just on little bits in there that are going to be sticking to this part. So I'm going to lie this on top. Okay, and before I press it, I'm just going to lift it up and just check if I've got it where I want it. And that looks pretty good. So I'm going to press that down. Okay, so I'm going to do the same with the next one. I'm going to take my bit of card and work out where I need to stick this. And just like before, I'm then going to draw my line up here. I'm going to cut off with a pair of scissors. I'm going to put it back on, and then I'm going to draw my line so I don't need to put any glue past that line. Again, dotting with my glue. It doesn't need to be completely covered by glue, as long as you've got a fair few contact points all the way around the bit that you're sticking. So I'm going to bring that up, place it. I'm going to take it up and just check it. Okay, all right. Now, I have made a mistake there. Not a mistake, something I should have done before I stuck that bit down, and that was to have cut this bit, to have measured this bit and cut it. So I'm going to have to kind of do it by eye based on what I did with the others. Probably about there. Yeah, that looks like it will work. But if you measure that last bit first before you stick, it makes it a little bit easier. And again, I'm just going to have to go by eye roughly where I think the glue is going to need to go on this. Down there. Okay. And then now I've found, to help this stick, I've been putting my very long foam folder up in so that you can get some pressure from within as well as from the top, because when you're dealing with three-dimensional things, it's not always that easy to get that purchased. And there is your little tea light cover. Let me put tea light underneath. Obviously not a real one, because that would be quite dangerous, but yeah, I think nice little to have on your sideboard at Christmas. So just a different use for that die, rather than just using it to edge your card. Okay, so I have one more project to do with the Amy Designs History of Christmas. So I'm going to move my little tea light out the way. On there. And the last one, excuse me, is a little easel card. Bits out the way to start. So this is an oval easel card. I'll show you here. Made completely and cut completely with the die set, and this is Amy Designs. Bear with me a moment. What's my colour? There it is. Amy Designs Christmas Landscape. So this is it. Okay, so you get this outer oval die, you get this inner die, and then you also get these little snowflakes and stars, and the little snowflakes and stars I've used as the little stopper for our Christmas tree. Okay, but as you can probably see, if I just tilt it up to the overhead camera, that I have used, of course, I've used Pixie Sparkles on this, so we're going to have to get a little bit messy before we start doing anything. Now, this time, rather than doing a big sheet, I actually did the die cutting first, so I'll show you what I mean. So let's move these Pixie Sparkles out the way, because I need to get some other ones out. We're going to use for the main background, I have used this gorgeous teal marine. So this is for the background and also for the sort of frame. Okay. I have also used a bit of Frozen Pearl, which is the Pixie Sparkle highlights. This is the one, the highlights do not have any pigment in. They just have the sparkle. And in this case, it's more of a silvery sparkle. And I've also used the Green Bay, and I'll explain why later. And to colour in the image, I've got out my Distress Oxides. Now, it doesn't have to be these colours, they just happen to be what I chose. A nice green for the trees. I got the so I've got pine needles, black soot that I used for the lamppost, ground espresso for the little tree stumps, and tiny little light in the lamp there. I used the squeezed lemonade. So we're going to use those as well. Okay, so we'll put those to one side for a moment, because what we'll do is we'll do the cutting first. So this is 9 inches. Just measure, I can't remember what I did it by, 9 inches by 4.5. Okay, so what I need to do is I need to score this in half at 4.5 inches. So I'm going to score at 4.5 inches, and this is going to make our base for our easel card. And we are going to use the outer die, fold this, burnish this, and we're going to use this die to create our base. Okay, now this is quite a thin die, so make sure you've got your cutting edge face down. Okay. So I'm going to get my cutting plate, and I'm going to put this on, and I'm going to put that to the edge. Now, it's not always easy with shapes like ovals to get them completely sort of centre, so you kind of just have to do the best you can. Oh, there it is. My tape seems to just keep hiding from me today. Okay, so I'm going to tape. I don't really want to go too far over the edge of the die, but I also want to make sure that the card isn't going to move, so I'm kind of doing a bit of both. Okay, so plastic shim, magnetic shim, top plate through the Gemini, and off it goes. And fingers crossed that it has cut right the way through. It's good at home, so I have every faith that it will have cut all the way through this time. Yeah, there we go. So remove the tape. So here we have, with plenty of glitter, because I obviously Pixie sparkled the plates when I was doing the last demo. We have our base card. Okay. Now this is the bottom bit. This needs scoring in half. And again, it's one of those roughly in half. So I tend to try, place it on looking as level as I can, and use this as kind of a vertical guide. So where am I at here? Roughly what, 4 3/8. So let's say 4 1/4. Half of that, 2 1/8. I might actually come looking at it, eyeballing it. I might actually come back to 2 1/4. So I'm going to score down there, and that then folds over to form the base of our easel card. Okay, there we go. Okay, so we now need to cut. Oh, tape or anything else. We now need to cut a couple of ovals, one which will form this part here, and one that we can use on the base. Okay, so I have here piece of card, again just checking. When I was doing my prep, there were a couple of times with these very thin edge dies where I wasn't concentrating and put them up the wrong way. And if you're a person that puts their magnetic sheet on top rather than the plastic shim, that could cause some lovely fridge magnet shapes to be cut. So just be a little bit careful with that one. Okay, so we're going to cut that through, and then I am going to show you how I made the background. Just thought it looked beautifully sort of snowy and sparkly, a snowy scene. So there's our oval, and we will just pop that to one side. We'll need that in a moment. I'm also then going to cut out the part with the detailing. So I'm going to need this again, and I am going to need the other part of the die here, and we'll paste that down. Now again, with these, it's just a case of eyeballing it really to see that you've got a reasonably even amount of space around. Do you know, this tape, I think it's going to a little black hole every now and again, so I can't see it. Okay, so we're going to take that down and cut this one. Now, for the way that I have put this card together, you actually need to cut that this particular part 3 times. Just double check myself. Yeah, 3 times. I'll explain why in a sec. So we need this one because we're going to decorate. We're going to paint this one. That's the bit just lovely, falls away, no problem with the cutting there. Take this tape off here and there, put that to one side, and then we're just going to ease this out. Go very careful because it's a very thin stone, but yeah, it comes out straight away. So we need one of these that we're going to actually paint in a moment. But we also, because I created a raised border, you also need to cut 2 more because you are actually going to snip into them to create those raised borders. If you prefer not to, if you don't want the raised border, then you don't need to. So what I've done is I've literally, on this part it's not too tricky because you can kind of follow the line of those bits, die cut bits, but here you kind of just got to freehand it around. So I realised my head was very on its side there. Sorry about that. Don't know where I was going. Just following my scissors around, I think. Okay, so you will need 2 of those. Now I have already got some prep, so I'm not going to do everything, but I am going to show you how to prep the base set ovals, how to prep the border, and how to actually paint this. So I think what we'll do is we'll do this bit first. Okay, so I am going to use Distress Oxides. Now I have a white tile because when I'm using Distress Oxides to paint, I like to just put a little bit on a white tile and I can see it. Ooh, you've got a life of their own today, bouncing around and disappearing. So I'm going to put a bit of pine needles down. Now these are oxides, so they are more opaque than the inks. I'm just going to put a tiny little bit yellow because I don't really need much of that. A bit of ground espresso, again, not really needing too much of that. And a bit of black soot. Okay, so grab my water and paintbrush. Now, what you don't want to do is get this too wet, otherwise the colours will bleed. And I'm just going to grab a piece of paper towel so I can block things if they start to bleed. So I want a bigger brush than that to do the trick. This one will do. So you get your brush wet, but then just take some of that off just so that it's damp, and then I'm going to go into the green and get some on. And the reason I've got a big brush is because I need a little bit more water there. And then I'm just literally going to paint over. Now, I do, oh, and I've gone over the trunk already. I did consider just painting it with the Green Bay Pixie Sparkles, which I'm going to use in a moment. But I'll show you why. The Pixie Sparkles, although it's called Green Bay, it has a much bluer tone when you mix it completely. Because when you make it into a paint, you omit all the different colour pigments that are in that powder all get mixed in together. When you put it onto a piece of card, they're all separate and they all can stay separate. But when you try mixing them together, unfortunately, the dominant colour is the one that comes through. And in this case, I'm going to need some more green. What should I do with it? In this case, there's a very blue, a very beautiful blue, but very dominant dark blue pigment in there that kind of takes over. I'm not doing this very well today. Everything's so dry. Okay. I'm not too... I'm going to go with a big brush. I'm just going to go for it. Right. The reason I want to just be a little careful, because obviously we've got that black. This brush is a little bit... You see the bristles are starting to come apart. I need some new ones. So, it doesn't matter if you go over onto the this frame, because we are going to put another frame on the top. So I'm just turning it around just so that I can come in that side with a bit of the tree. Okay. So we are going to I'm just going to dump sort of sponge that off there, because what I don't want is that now running when I try and put the ground espresso on for the trunk. So it's our trunk. The Gemini, everything today on this table has got a life of its own. It all wants to be doing its own thing today. Okay, so you only need a tiny little bit of the ground espresso for the trunks, and then we're going to use the in fact, I'm going to do the yellow first before I put the black soot on my brush, because the black soot will be more difficult to get off. So just going to paint the little light in there. And then we're going to do the lamp post. I have to say, I do like watercolouring. I can quite easily just sit and do this kind of stuff for a very long time. Unfortunately, it doesn't make for great viewing, so I promise I won't. I'll get this done. Okay. Now you can see I've got a little bit of green that's gone over into the snowy area, but I'm not too worried about that. I did on the last one as well, and I managed to kind of just blend it in. It gave a nice little sort of hint of tinge, whatever you like, to the snow. I need try not to put too much water, because I don't want to water it down too much, but my brushes are just like, no, I'm not playing today. I'm saying time to retire me, get some new ones. There we go, that's a bit better. Okay, now I hope you didn't hear that. My stomach's just gone. I need a snack, I think. Lunchtime. Hope you're all enjoying your lunch. Okay, a little bit more green. I missed a bit of green there. There we go. Right. Okay, so I'm going to put that to one side to dry for the moment. We will come back to that. Let's move that out the way. And we're going to look at how to do the oval and how to do the frame. So this is where I use the Teal Marine Pixie Sparkles. Okay. Now for the oval, it's quite straightforward. It's the normal. It's normal. Empty the entire contents onto the piece of paper. And then spray. Spray a spray bottle. Now this is a very, very pretty colour. Now last week I was using the Green Bay and I really loved the yellows that came out there, but I do love this one. Not quite as many different pigments in this one, but it's still very, very pretty. So that needs to go aside to dry. Down. And where's my Sweep that up. Now I'm going to use the same Pixie Sparkle for the frame, but this time I'm going to make it into a paint. Okay, so I'm just literally going to pop a little bit in, and I'm going to get my water and a brush. I'm going to use a flat brush here because it will be quicker. Okay, and literally we are putting some water in with it and we're making it. Can you see how that pigment just literally activates as soon as you put the water in? We are literally going to paint. So whereas on the oval we got sort of real scattered muted kind of colours, here you can see the vibrancy, but you don't get the difference in the different pigments. You just get one sort of amalgamation. It's like mixing paints together, you just end up with one colour. So that's what I did for the frames. Okay, so I'm just going to rinse my brush off, dry that off, put that to one side, and then put that to dry as well. Okie dokie. Right, okay, so we're going to go back over here now, and we are going to use the Green Bay and the Frozen Pearl. Now, I'm just going to see if I can find a scrap piece of card. Bear with me a moment. Let's use this. No, use this. It's just for demonstration purposes, so I can explain what I mean about what happens with the pigment. This is Green Bay. And if I was to just sprinkle it on here and spray it, you will see green, you'll see some blue, you'll see some yellow, and you'll see some purple. Yeah. So in this powder, there are pigment particles of all of those colours. Now, what happens when I then put some in here and mix it with water is that all those pigment particles mix together. So I don't get a green because these dark purpley ones are much more prevalent. So I get more of a blue than a green. Although that one's fairly green today. When I was testing it yesterday, it was blue. So I decided I'd rather put the base of pine needles down and then put this over the top so that the green really came through. So we've now got this nice and pixie sparkled with the paint. Oh, you see a bit of blue particles still in there. And then we'll paint this tree too, make that sparkly. And then, oh, dirty fingers, I'm going to take Frozen Pearl. And remember, this is just, Frozen Pearl is just a highlight. There's no pigment in this. So I'm literally just making like a glitter paint, if you like. So I put a little bit in there. I'm going to put a bit of water in. Ooh. That one went everywhere. And get a brush, hopefully. Oh no, that one's had black soot on it. That's not going to work. Okay. And I am just going to use this to put a shimmer over where the snow is. Okay. Now I could go in and highlight a little light as well. It's up to you. But that can be used as like just as a paint to go over the top to make things a bit sparkly. Okay, so again, I'm going to put that aside to dry, and I'm going to take that one. Okie dokie. Right, so let's have a look at assembling. I'll get rid of this Pixie Sparkle before it gets wet and makes other things inky. Right, okay, so we now have our base card, and I have already got 2 ovals done and dried, and I have 2 frames done and dried, and I've also made using these little dies. I've made a stopper, so I layered the biggest snowflake, the biggest star, and then the next snowflake, just to make a little stopper. So it's all made from the same die. So okay, this is still a bit wet, but we're gonna go with it anyway. In fact, I am gonna get out the heat gun, and we're just gonna blast this a little bit just to dry it off, just so that we can actually assemble this. It's not totally sodden because I've only been painting over the top of it, so hopefully we shouldn't be too bad. Okie dokie. Right, so I need to glue this onto the top of one of these. So I'm just going to have a fiddle around and see which way around I like. What do I like? I might just go with that one actually. Right, so glue. Oh, I did put the lid back on it. Ooh. Okay, so we're going to glue around the edge here. And then in those main bits that need contact, so on the back of the trees, snowing up into each of those little snow branches, just making sure there'll be enough for contact. And then we're going to line that up over our background. That's that one. Just let the glue dry a minute on that one. While that's happening, I'm going to glue the one of the frames onto this one for the bottom. Okay. I think actually these ones show up the different pigments in this teal one better than the one I did before. As you can see, there's the green and there's the blue, so there's definitely some different pigments in that one. So that one's going to be for here. So we do need to trim off a little bit. Now you can either decide to go right up to the edge, and in fact I think I will today, or on the original one I offset it a bit. So I'm going to turn this over, and I'm going to line that up. In fact, I'm going to do it that way. I'm going to go that way, and I'm going to bend that back, and then I can see which bit I need to cut off, which is there. And I'm going to do that with a pair of scissors. There we go. Now this hopefully should now sit on our base there. So we'll get that stuck on. Like that. There we go. Our base. That would be our base. But we just fold that back over, so it's not an issue. Fold that way. There we go. Now, I'm going to stick this on before I put this on. Now, one thing, after I put the sample together and I looked, I thought, oh, messy background. And what you can do is cut yourself another nice plain white oval to stick this onto, so that when your easel is stood up, nobody's going to see your mucky inky background. So yeah, so if you want to do that, then by all means do. So I'm going to stick this now. This bit will now stick onto this bottom half here. Okay, like so. line that up a bit better. I haven't lined that up very well. There we go. Okay. Now, you can just glue this straight down if you prefer. I am going to give it a little bit of dimension with some 3D glue gel. So I'm just going to put a few, not that one over there maybe. There we go. I'm just going to do a line with the glue gel all the way around. Okay, there we go. I feel like I'm working on one side today. There we go. This is where it starts to get messy because there's nowhere left. Oh, there we go. I squeezed it over the side, which I didn't really want to do, but we can deal with that. I'm just going to take that little bit off there. Okay. And then I am going to, oh, I might put it over. Would help if I put it actually over the right bit. I put it the wrong part. There we go. Now, because I fiddled with it there, I've got this ridge of glue, which I am going to just try and take out with my fingernail. There we go. That's my fault for not placing it properly in the first place. There we go. So all that remains now is for me to place my little stopper on. You could add a greeting if you wanted, a little greeting at the top, a little bow. I think it looks okay like that. So again, 3D glue gel, because you obviously want the stopper lifted up a little bit to stop the easel card from falling forward. Okay, and so there we have our oval easel card made using the Amy Designs. Oh, I keep forgetting what it's called. This one, landscape, forest landscape. No, I'm sorry, it's gone and I can't find my piece of paper either. Christmas landscape. That would be quite obvious, really, wouldn't it? Christmas landscape. So, 4 different projects from the Amy Designs History of Christmas collection. We've got our easel card there. We have our box, 1-piece box with the push-out decoupage. I'm just trying to find where I put everything. We have our tea light cover, again from one of the dies, and we have our place value. I'm sorry, I'm a teacher. Place value. That's what we do at school, not a craft. Place card. There we go. So there's our 4 projects from today's Facebook Live. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you do have any questions about anything I've done or anything I've used or measurements, then please put the questions in the comments. We'll have a look later and try to make sure that we answer everything for you. Thank you for joining me and enjoy the rest of your day.